Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Patel, in addition to the extensive purge of nonpartisan career FBI official reports indicate that dozens of remaining officials have been subjected to polygraph exams to test their loyalty. My understanding is that approximately 40 officials have been asked to sit for a polygraph during your administration, and several have been asked whether they have ever made negative comments about you. Director Patel, FBI agents pledge their loyalty to the Constitution of the United States, not you personally. What is the basis for requiring polygraph exams of your workforce and asking them if they've made negative comments about you?
All right, roll it back for a second, because after watching that clip from the Senate hearing, I had to pause and shake my head. You've got Senator Dick Durbin leaning across that dais, grilling FBI Director Kash Patel like the verdict's already been written. Accusations flying about purges, loyalty tests, and this dramatic framing that the FBI is somehow being turned into a political police force. And here's the thing, they always do this when someone isn't part of the DC Club. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Freedom's Voice. If you care about truth, accountability, and an FBI that actually works for the American people, not the political elite, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, smash that like, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Your voice matters here.
I don't know what reports you're referring to, Ranking Member, and I reject any reporting that has false information in it, so I'm not going to respond to that. As far as polygraphs go, generally they are always and always have been utilized at the FBI to track down those that leak sensitive information and have unauthorized disclosures to the media, and we will continue to use them to ensure the integrity of the FBI.
Did any individual on your senior executive team, the director's advisory team, or who serve in the positions on the 7th floor receive disqualifying alerts on their polygraphs?
Senator, I'm not going to get into the personnel discussions that were had on a polygraph. Those are private discussions, and many of them relate to ongoing investigations.
Did you or Attorney General Bondi provide any individual with a waiver so they could remain employed after they received disqualifying alerts on their polygraphs?
I'll have to get back to you.
You don't remember that?
No, sir. My priority is protecting the American public, not getting into the weeds of polygraphs.
And to have a decent memory when you come before a committee.
I'm happy to talk about all the good work the men and women of the FBI are doing, including provided the lowest crime rate in American history. If you want to talk about how to protect the citizens, Chicago has seen a 30% reduction in its murder rate because of the men and women of the FBI.
You take credit for that?
I'll happily do that.
You
the
take
interagency partners and the men and women of the Chicago PD have never been more powerful.
Include local law enforcement, please.
Have you ever seen my testimony across this country where I always lead with our interagency partnerships with state and local law enforcement? It is the pillar of what I am doing. And on the 7th floor, for the first time in FBI history, I have installed police officers and sheriffs right on my 7th floor to report to us every day what's going around the country on the street level, because that is a priority of the FBI and is the only way we are going to work. I don't take credit for anything, but I will defend the men and women of the FBI and the cops that help us get it done.
You should. Director Patel, to your knowledge, did a whistleblower ever make a disclosure to Attorney General Bondi indicating that the New York field office was withholding Epstein-related records?
I'm not familiar with that whistleblower.
You know that there was such a whistleblower?
I'm not familiar with that whistleblower.
In response to the blowback she received, Attorney General Bondi also pushed the FBI to review approximately 100,000 Epstein-related records on an arbitrarily short deadline in March, and the FBI was directed to flag any documents that mentioned President Trump. Nothing came of that review until July, when DOJ and FBI released an unsigned memorandum stating there is no incriminating client list. Why was this July 7th memorandum unsigned?
Would you prefer I've used AutoPen?
Well, why was it unsigned?
The memorandum had the insignia of the Department of Justice and the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And in our effort to secure transparency for the American people, because the 3 prior administrations had not done so, we conducted an exhaustive search of everything related to the Epstein cases, and we produced what was legally and permissibly able to be produced to Congress and the American public.
So
and there's a congressional subpoena, and we're continuing to do so.
Did you personally direct that investigation so that you would sign such a...
Did I personally direct what investigation?
Of the Epstein records for any reference to President Trump?
Again, you are citing reporting that I think is baseless. We conducted an investigation of the Epstein case files pursuant to the direction of the President of the administration to provide all credible information, and we are working with Congress pursuant to a congressional subpoena to turn over all the documents we can. All individuals.
Who at DOJ and FBI was responsible for its drafting and conclusions?
Many individuals at the Department of Justice and the FBI are
There was
responsible.
no lead person?
The Attorney General leads the Department of Justice, and I lead the FBI.
So the Attorney General was responsible for that?
The Attorney General leads the Department of Justice.
Director Patel, much like you, Deputy Director Dan Bongino was a conspiracy theorist who built a lucrative career making inflammatory and unsubstantiated statements about the FBI that would be disqualifying in any administration that cared about nonpartisan law enforcement. For instance, Mr. Bongino called the placement of pipe bombs outside the DNC and RNC headquarters on January 6, quote, an inside job, and went on to say this was a setup. I have zero doubt, and whoever goes into the FBI, you better get an answer about why. Director Patel, you and Deputy Director Bongino are now leading the FBI. What is the evidence to suggest the pipe bombs placed outside of the DNC and RNC on January 6 were an inside job?
I appreciate the opportunity to discuss Director Bongino's mind record. So many on this committee and the media jettison our 31 years of public service.
Can you answer the question, sir?
I'm answering the question. You're questioning the integrity of the Deputy Director of the
Asking
FBI
you
and mine.
if you found any
and I'm going to
evidence.
answer the question.
I'm
The pipe
asking-
bomb investigation is ongoing, and I'm not going to discuss the
Ongoing?
details of the pipe bomb investigation. Mr. Bongino was a Secret Service agent for 15 years, a police officer for 5. I served this country in multiple administrations for 16 years. We were also private citizens, and we are now back in government service. And what we have the ability to do is set aside our personal beliefs to deliver the mission of justice for this country, and we're doing it day in and day out. And I find it disgusting that everyone and anyone would jettison our 31 years of combined experience that is now at the helm of the FBI, delivering historic results at historic speeds for the American people.
So you have no evidence?
I got a lot of evidence, and I'll give it to you when I can.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. There's a New York Times story this morning about Chris Meyer. As I understand it, he was your personal pilot, at least for some period of time. Mr. Meyer has quite a record himself. Flew over 350 hours as an Air Force pilot on 3 aircraft types in Afghanistan. Mr. Jardina, another former FBI agent, a 1999 graduate of U.S. Naval Academy, commanded 100 Marines in combat during the 2003 invasion of Iraq, participated in several firefights, followed up with 2011 deployment as reservist to Afghanistan, where he interrogated senior Taliban officials. It appears that you terminated these 2 agents. Why?
I'm not going to get into personnel decisions that we made.
So you're not accountable for your decisions to take people who served our country so admirably and terminate them without any cause?
That's a one-sided story. Anyone that has
Well,
been
then
terminated from
so
the
tell
FBI,
your-
generally
tell your
speaking,
side of the story.
failed to meet the needs of the FBI and uphold their constitutional duties. And you providing a one-sided story from your perch is absolutely disgraceful, because the men and women of the FBI deserve better. And your attack on the current leadership of the men and women of the FBI is equally disgraceful, because now you're attacking the leaders that are our brave SACs in
Let me
the
tell you
field
what's
who are
disgraceful.
doing the job that this
Disgraceful.
country needs.
It's
And we will
disgraceful.
continue to do it.
Excuse me, it's disgraceful when Mr. Meyer and Mr. Jardina, who served our country so well, are terminated apparently because of the rants of a broadcaster.
That is
all
your
it-
opinion. It is not a fact.
Well, it's certainly my opinion I can back up with fact. Let me ask you to explain the situation in Baltimore, if you will. Did you read the story about the termination of the project in Baltimore?
Which story?
764 Group?
Sorry. Which story?
764 Group, the Baltimore agents were investigating. Are you familiar with that?
No, sir.
Well, I'm not going to go into detail. It would take too long to do it. But apparently that this group, 764, a nihilistic, violent extremist group, seeks to blackmail children to perform vile acts on a camera, under investigation by Baltimore, which was terminated by you. I'd like you to respond in writing, if you will, as to the circumstances of that termination.
Sure. Our operations against NVEs, as you're referring to, has been historically high, and we've taken down multiple NVE rings, including 764 rings, who are harming children and causing them to be mutilated and
Last
commit
question.
suicide.
Can you explain why you are eliminating the requirements for a college degree for your agents?
I appreciate the opportunity to address that. You said in your opening statement, we are reducing the training requirements at Quantico. We are not, we are expanding them. You are referring to an 1811 crossover program because I believe the men and women of places like the DEA, the ATF, and the Marshal Service and the Secret Service who want to work at the FBI should deserve that opportunity in a shortened bridge program, which we provided. We are also keeping the 18-week BFTC as is traditionally being held at the FBI. So we're not reducing any requirements. We are increasing those that we bring into the FBI.
Did you change any of the requirements on college degrees?
We are allowing police officers who have served for a number of years to come into the FBI who did not obtain the requisite college degree to apply to be federal agents because we feel they have the street level experience we need to conduct this mission.
I yield, Mr. Chairman.
Now let's talk about what we just watched. Durbin claims nonpartisan FBI officials are being purged and that polygraphs are being used as some kind of loyalty oath. That sounds scary until you actually listen to Patel's response. Patel flat out denied the claim and explained that polygraphs have always been part of maintaining internal integrity. That's not new. That's not radical. That's standard practice in sensitive national security roles. But suddenly it's a problem because the leadership isn't singing from a usual left-wing songbook. What really jumped out to me was how Durbin kept pushing this narrative without evidence. Just reports, sources, and insinuations. Meanwhile, Patel kept doing what adults do, answering directly, calmly, and sticking to facts. If the FBI is finally enforcing standards evenly, that's not a purge. That's accountability. And accountability terrifies Washington. Then we get to the Epstein records. Durbin tries to corner Patel over a DOJ and FBI memo stating there was no incriminating client list. Instead of focusing on facts, Durbin plays the blame game, demanding to know which individual signed off on it. Like that somehow changes the outcome. Patel makes it clear the investigation was thorough and conducted under the direction of the administration. In other words, this wasn't some rogue operation. It followed the chain of command. Here's my take as a right-wing patriot. The American people are sick of selective outrage. For years, we watched institutions circle the wagons to protect powerful people. Now, when leadership says, we investigated, here's what we found. The same politicians who ignored corruption suddenly act like champions of transparency. Spare us. Durbin then goes after Deputy Director Jen Bonino, dragging up January 6 pipe bomb comments and questioning her integrity. This is textbook character assassination. When you don't like the message, you attack the messenger. Patel stood his ground and defended her experience and commitment to justice. And that matters. Leadership should defend their people when they're being smeared for political points. And let's talk about the most disgraceful accusation of all, the claim that agents with military backgrounds are being terminated. Durbin tried to paint this as an attack on veterans. That's shameful. Patel responded clearly. Terminations are performance-based, not ideological. Training isn't being reduced. It's being expanded, with more opportunities for experienced law enforcement professionals. That sounds like strengthening the FBI, not dismantling it. What this hearing really showed was a tension between an entrenched political class and leadership that isn't playing their game. The same senators who were silent during real abuses of power are suddenly worried about norms, now that the spotlight is shifting. From where I stand, this wasn't Durbin defending democracy. This was Durbin defending the status quo. And Patel? He looked like someone trying to clean up a mess that Washington would rather keep buried. If you believe the FBI should be about law, order, and equal justice, not political favoritism, then you already know why this matters. Like the video, subscribe to Freedom's Voice, and let me know in the comments. Do you think this was oversight, or was it a political hit job? Let's talk. United States.